Hey everybody, it's time for the third video in the Church Band Music Theory series. This one is another foundational video. I'd sort of thought that I was ready to do stacked harmony theory, but I sort of got one more lesson I want to teach you before that. Again, this is going to be really elementary and really basic for some people, probably less basic for others, and that's why it's going to be important so that we can really fully discuss stacked harmony theory, part discipline, what it means when I say you sing a third above, you sing a fifth, you sing a third down. So in order for us to get to that place, we sort of have one more foundational thing, I think, to cover. One thing I do want to step back again, as in every video, I want to talk a little bit about worship music and how this is different from pop music or rock music or any sort of secular band. One of the questions that we may come up with is, why even have a worship band? I mean, why are we even doing this? And we talked before about what worship is, how we've shrunk that word down to mean less than what it really means. And worship is simply an acknowledgement and appreciation of God for who He is and what He is, what He's done for us. It's just sort of an ability to stand in awe and just praise Him for being the creator of the universe and the creator of us, of course. So why have a band? You know, it's music throughout the ages has evolved. We go all the way back to King David. He was a very accomplished harp player, very accomplished musician, and when he had the tabernacle and when his son Solomon built the temple, they were prescribed to have certain groups of the Levites who were skilled musicians to lead the people in song. It's going all the way back to Old Testament time, where we will sing songs of praise to God, and that the people were led by skilled musicians who could play and sing well and sort of help facilitate the worship of God by the congregation, by people who are less musically skilled, trained, experienced. It's sort of a weird thing, we've talked about this in sermons before, it's sort of a weird thing for people to just burst into song. You know, life is not a Rodgers and Hammerstein play. People don't just walk around bursting into song for no reason. So in order to help people feel like maybe singing is the thing to do, we will have a group up front who are skilled musicians, who do what they do well, who can lead the congregation in song and sort of help facilitate the worship of God through song. So we're not there to put on a show. We're not there to impress people with our talents, but we do want to play well enough and sing well enough that we are not a distraction. If we're making mistakes, if we're singing awkward harmony parts, if we're in the wrong key, if we're doing things poorly from a technical standpoint, then we're an impediment to worship rather than something that helps facilitate worship. So that's why we have a band, and that's why we want to do a good job. The next step, when we've talked about what is a scale, what are the notes in a scale that make a chord, what are the various intervals that we'll talk about, thirds and fourths and augmenteds and fifths and sevenths and all the different things, when we've talked about what those are, the next step is to get into some music notation. A lot of you may already know how to read music. Some of you may not, so we're going to do sort of a basic lesson here. And the beauty of MIDI is that we can sort of let the computer do some of this work for us. So I'm going to play a little bit and then we'll sort of look at what the notes look like on the staff. So here we go. We'll go back to a C scale. So that's a C scale. When we talk about these notes, we can look at, this is a treble clef, which indicates to us that it's treble. A bass clef is a different thing. It's a little more, it's not more complicated, it's just different. So we'll stay in treble clef for the purposes of making this easy. You can see that there are lines and spaces here, right? So a staff is 5 lines, and that's the spaces in between. And then if we get below the staff, we'll see that we have this little hash mark here to let us know how far below the staff we are. If we keep going down, then they add more hash marks. This first note is a C. We talked about what the C scale was. That's a C. D is the space below. E, F, G, A, B, C, and then back to the low C again. So what we will see is that as we come up, you got space, line, space, line, space. So if I go from A to C, I've skipped, and that gives me a third. So a note here that is below the staff, I think I can pull this back here, right? So that will show you this is a third interval, and we'll actually play that right now. Let's play it. Okay, so you can hear that. That is an A and a C. It's those two notes, and that's a third. Okay, so we'll pull the C back where we had it. Okay, there's our scale again. So this is just a way, and then when you do this in a different key, obviously these will all shift up. If I want to make this F and F sharp in notation, what it'll do, I'll just slide it up one, and then we'll see that that's now an F sharp, which means it's a half a step above F. And if I want to make this B, that'll show that it's a B flat, which means it's a half a step below a B, right? So this is going to be an odd sounding scale. But we'll do it anyway. Okay, so that just sort of shows us notation here, where we've got the different notes and what they can look like, and that'll sort of give us the foundation to talk about third above, third below, and then you can see how these notes sort of fit together. So we've got in this situation, you've got a D below and an F above. That's a minor third. So you've got that note there. We can bring this note over. This shows us what a B over G looks like. And then we can bring this note over here still. And that'll show us what a fourth looks like. Okay, so those are sort of the various intervals that will show up on the staff. And we're going to get in the next lesson about how to stack harmonies. But I just wanted to show you sort of how this, how the notes look on a piece of paper. So when I'm showing harmonies in the next lesson, you've got a foundation to understand what the heck am I talking about. Okay? Thank you.